Hello. We are going to start in chapter 5. This one is called Tricks, Food, and Angels on the Stairway. Genesis 25, 27, and 28. Abraham's son Isaac grew up and married a woman named Rebekah. In time, Isaac and Rebekah had twin sons. They named them Jacob and Esau. Esau was considered the firstborn. That meant he would inherit his father's wealth. It also meant he'd be the next leader of God's people. Or would he? Esau grew up to be a strong, hairy, quick-acting man. He loved hunting and eating. It didn't much matter to him that he would take his father's place someday. The future was too far away. He was more interested in what was happening now. On the other hand, Jacob studied things more carefully. He used his mind rather than his muscles, and he loved outwitting Esau, like the day Jacob tricked Esau into handing over his firstborn rights. "I could eat a camel," Esau said when he came in from the field one day. "Whatever you're cooking, hand it over." "It's lentil stew, Esau, and it took hours to cook." Jacob lied. "What will you give me for it? Your horse? Your birthright?" Esau shot back without thinking. "The horse I need. Take the birthright. I can't eat that, and right now I'm starving." Then when their father was old and half blind, Jacob pulled the biggest trick ever over on Esau. "I'm fading fast," Isaac said to Esau. "I must give you my blessing. But first, do your father a favor. Fix me that meat dish I like so much." "Sure, father," Esau answered as he left the tent. Now, just as Isaac had a soft spot in his heart for Esau, Rebekah's favorite was Jacob. So when she overheard her husband's dying request, she got an idea. "I can prepare that meal," she thought to herself. "Jacob can dress up like Esau, then he can bring the dish to his father. Isaac will never know the difference." So that's what Rebekah did. Her plan worked, and Isaac gave his blessing to the wrong son. When Esau found out, there was murder in his eyes. Rebekah thought he'd killed Jacob for sure. "Go to your uncle's and hide," she said quickly. It was nighttime when Jacob finally stopped. He hung his head and thought about the day. He was sorry that he had stolen what belonged to his brother. He felt guilty he had fooled his father, and he was ashamed before God that he lied and cheated. All these worries wore Jacob out, so he put down a blanket and fell asleep. When he did, he had a strange dream. It was like someone had cracked open the door to heaven and let him peek in. He knew it was heaven because he saw angels. They were doing God's work, and they looked very busy. Suddenly, Jacob heard God speak. "I'm not happy with what you have done," God said, "but I have a plan, and you are part of it. The land you are lying on now belongs to you. That is the promise I made to your father and your grandfather. And when the time is right," God said, "I'll bring you back home." This is a picture of what people call Jacob's ladder. They call it Jacob's ladder because it was in Jacob's dream, and the angels took it to heaven and then came back down on it. When Jacob woke up, he was trembling. He had seen God in all his glory. He had witnessed God's angels working behind the scenes, and he had learned God had intended all along for him, not Esau, to take his father's place. "Truly, the Lord is the one who makes these things happen the way they do," Jacob said to himself. "He controls the universe. He's in charge of the angels. He makes the decision. I realize that now." Then Jacob took a stone and marked the spot as holy. "I named this place Bethel, or House of God," he said, "because this is where God spoke to me and showed me his angels." Wrestling for a blessing. Genesis 32:33, verses 1 through 4. 20 years passed, and God told Jacob to go home. By this time, Jacob had money, a large family, servants, and lots of livestock, but he was falling back into his old bad habits. He wasn't trusting God. He was relying on himself. So God sent an angel to remind him once more just who's in charge. 400 men. Sounds like he's bringing an army, Jacob shouted when he heard Esau was on his way to meet him. My brother is coming to kill me, he yelled. I know it. I just know it. I better think of something, and fast. Now, what Jacob should have thought of was God's promise to protect him, as he did for a quick second. Lord, he prayed as he paced up and down. You said you'd keep me safe, remember? Well, I could use your help right now. But Jacob didn't wait and let God do his job. He was in a panic about his brother, so he came up with his own plan, just in case God had forgotten him. Put the animals into groups, one behind the other, Jacob said to his men. Then walk them towards Esau. Tell them everything he sees is his, a gift from his loving brother, Jacob. And tell him I'll meet with him tomorrow, okay? Now Jacob thought he was pretty clever. He figured if he gave his brother a really big gift, Esau would not be angry anymore and would and wouldn't try to kill him. So nighttime came, and Jacob sent his family and flocks to follow the herders, but he stayed behind. He wanted to work out something else in case his first plan failed. As he sat thinking, a stranger grabbed Jacob and wrestled him to the ground. Jacob fought back. The man was very strong, but Jacob held on, and the two struggled all night. When the sky turned light, the man said, "Let go." But Jacob said no, so the man touched Jacob's hip and broke it. That's when Jacob realized this was no stranger. This wasn't even a man. This was an angel of the Lord, and Jacob was no match for him. The angel clearly had the upper hand. Now at first, Jacob wondered why God had sent the angel. Then he shook his head as the reason became clear. I'm doing it again, he thought. I'm trying to fix things so I get my own way, and that's why this angel is here, to remind me my life is in God's hands. I can send my brother 1,000,000 gifts, but God is the only one who can soften my brother's heart. So Jacob decided then and there to let God be in charge. But while he still had a hold of the angel, he begged him. Please, he said, I realize I need God's help. I can't face my brother alone. Please, give me God's blessing. So the angel blessed him. Then he turned and looked into Jacob's eyes. Listen, Jacob, the angel said. God really does know what he is doing, and he does everything at just the right time. This is a fact you have a hard time with, but I see you really want to change. So let's start with your new name. Forget Jacob. You're Israel from now on. It means struggles with God. That ought to help you remember. Then the angel disappeared, and it was time to meet Esau. So Jacob limped down the path to meet his brother. He had no tricks up his sleeve. He was relying totally on God, and he didn't feel afraid. When Esau saw Jacob, he had tears in his eyes. Welcome home, brother, he said as he hugged Jacob. As for the angel, he was thrilled that Israel was finally trusting God completely. A talking donkey, Numbers 22 through 24. Animals don't often get visits from angels that we know of, but a man called Balaam had a donkey who did, and boy, was a donkey surprised. Now, over the years, the Israelites, the new name for Jacob's relatives, grew in number because God was with them. They conquered all their enemies. So when a king named Balak saw the Israelites putting up tents nearby, he was very afraid. We need Balaam, the seer, he screamed. On the double. Now Balaam, the seer, now I just want to say that a seer is somebody that gets dreams and visions from God that tell the future, okay? That's what a seer is, okay? Now Balaam the seer was supposed to be able to say some words, a curse, that could bring harm to others. So King Balak sent officials to Balaam's house to hire him. The king wants you to put a curse on God's people, the official said. I'll sleep on it, Balaam replied. When he did, God told Balaam to refuse the king's offer. So that's what Balaam did. A stubborn King Balak sent his officials right back with a note that read, "Come quickly, and I'll triple your fee." This time, God allowed Balaam to go. When Balaam was ready, he got on his donkey and rode off. Suddenly, she ran into a field. Get back on the path, Balaam yelled, and hit her. Are you blind? Well, the donkey wasn't blind. She knew exactly what she was doing. She ran into the field because she saw something in the road. It was a fierce-looking angel with an even fiercer-looking sword. So the donkey saw the angel, and Balak, he didn't see it. A few seconds later, the angel blocked the way again, but the donkey avoided him. The third time, the donkey saw the angel. She sat down rather than try to pass him. Balaam went into a rage. That's when God opened the donkey's mouth so she could speak. "Master, can you please stop hitting me?" The donkey asked. "You know I wouldn't act this way if I didn't have a reason." "Well, yes, you've always been a good donkey. What's the matter with you now?" Just then, God let Balaam see the angel. When he did, he fell to the ground and bowed his head. "I wouldn't be hitting my donkey if I were you," the angel told Balaam, "especially since she saved you from my sword 3 times. "Do you want me to turn around and go home?" Balaam asked. "No," the angel replied. "God wants you to speak to his people. But when you do, say what God tells you to say, nothing else." Got that? So Balaam rode with the men until they arrived at the palace. Morning came, and he heard God's message. Then he stood on the mountain and repeated it. "You call that a curse?" the king bellowed when Balaam was finished. "I can only repeat what God tells me," Balaam said. "Try again," the king ordered, but it was no use. Balaam couldn't even call evil down on the Israelites if he tried. And he tried, over and over. "I give up," the king yelled. "You're nothing but a fake, an imposter, a fraud." Then King Balak turned and walked away. "What did I expect?" he said to the officials. "The man talks to animals." So Balaam gave his donkey some sweet dates and headed home. At this time, the angel got out of the donkey's way. So this is an angel fact. Can all animals see angels? We really don't know, but this time God let the donkey see the angel before Balaam did. Numbers 22:16 through 31. So I'm going to go to read that scripture to you in this Bible because I said that I would read some of the scriptures. So Numbers 22:16 through 31. Okay, this is what it says. Here's 15, here's 16, okay? They came to Balaam with this message. "King Balak pleads with you to come. He promises you great honors plus any payment you ask. Name your own figure. Only come and curse these people for us." But Balaam replied, "Even if he gave me a palace filled with silver and gold, I could do nothing unless the command of the Lord my God. But stay here tonight. I will find out if the Lord will add any words to what he said before." That night, God told Balaam, "You may get up and go with these men, but be sure to say only what I tell you." So the next morning, he saddled his donkey and started off with them. But God was angry about Balaam's eager attitude, so he sent an angel to stand in the road to kill him. Balaam and 2 servants were riding along. Then Balaam's donkey saw the angel of the Lord. He was standing in the road with a drawn sword. The donkey bolted off the road into a field, but Balaam beat her back onto the road. Now the angel of the Lord stood at a narrow place. It was a place where the road went between 2 vineyard walls. The donkey saw him standing there, so she squirmed past by pressing against the wall. She crushed Balaam's foot in the process, so he beat her again. Then the angel of the Lord moved further down the road. He stood in a place so narrow that the donkey couldn't get by at all. So she lay down. Sorry, I can't get it that low. Here, wait. So she lay down in the road. In a great fit of temper, Balaam beat her again with his staff. Then the Lord caused the donkey to speak. "What have I done that deserves your beating me these 3 times?" she asked. "Because you have made me look like a fool," Balaam shouted. "I wish I had a sword with me. If I did, I would kill you." "Have I ever done this before?" the donkey asked. "No," he said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes. He saw the angel standing in the roadway with drawn sword. He fell flat on the ground before him. "Why did you beat your donkey those 3 times?" the angels asked. "I have come to stop you because you are headed for doom. 3 times the donkey saw me, but she shied away from me. If she had not, I would have killed you by now and spared her." Then Balaam confessed, "I have sinned. I didn't know you were there. I will go back home if you don't want me to go on." But the angel told him, "Go with the men, but say only what I tell you to say." So Balaam went on with them. King Balak heard that Balaam was on the way, so he left his city. He went out to meet him at the Arnon River. This was at the border of his land. "Why did you delay so long?" he asked Balaam. "Didn't you believe me when I said I would give you great honors?" Balaam replied, "I have come, but I can only say what God tells me to say, and that is what I shall speak." Balaam went with the king to Kiriath-Huzoth. Then there, King Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep. He also gave animals to Balaam and the messengers for their sacrifices. The next morning, Balak took Balaam to the top of Mount Bamoth Baal. From there, he could see the people of Israel spread out before him. All right. Okay, that's it. So next time we'll start this other chapter called Joshua and the Commander of God's Armies. Okay.